Circuit Buddy. Today we'll be discussing about Plastid. Now, Plastid, this term was first introduced by E. Haeckel in 1866. Okay. Now, plastids are semi-autonomous organelle. So they are basically semi-autonomous organelle. Okay. So what does it mean by semi-autonomous? Semi-autonomous means they have their own DNA and they can replicate it independently, so they are not completely dependent on the nuclear genes for their replication, and that's why they are called semi-autonomous organelle. And one more important thing is that they are double membraned. Okay, so they have a double membraned envelope, and this envelope can store or synthesize various types of organic compounds. Okay, now these plastids come from precursors called proplastids. Okay, these proplastids are colorless. Okay, so they are colorless precursors of plastids, and they have the ability or the capacity to divide and differentiate to form various types of plastids. Now we will be talking about the classification of plastid. Okay, so plastids can be classified into three categories according to Simper, and this classification is mainly based on their function along with the nature of the pigments present. Okay, so first of all we can classify them into three categories. The first type is chromoplastid. Okay, so let us talk about chromoplastids. Chromo means color. You know very well, chromo means color, and plastids, plast means molded or structure. Okay, so it is a colored body. The chromoplastids can further be classified into various types of plastids. For example, number one, we are talking about rhodoplastids. Okay, so rhodoplast. This type of plastid contains a very important pigment which is called phycoerythrin. Okay, so you can see that phyco means seaweed and erythra means red. That's why we call RBC or red blood cells as erythrocytes. Okay, now these rhodoplasts are found in rhodophyceae. Okay, for example, Polysyphonia sp. Okay, and this Polysyphonia is a filamentous red algae. Okay, so it is basically a filamentous red algae, and there are many more examples. For example, we have porphyridium. Okay, so porphyridium. If you want to know more about these species, just search the internet and you will get plenty of information about them. Okay, the next type is pheoplast. Okay, so pheoplast or simply PHEOPLAST. Both the words are correct. and are used by standard books. Okay, now this plastid contains a very important pigment which is called fucoxanthin. Okay, so fucoxanthin, which is actually a yellowish brown pigment. Okay, so that's very important. And one example is diatom. Okay, so if you talk about example, we have diatoms. Okay, so for example, we have pinularia, cyclotella. Okay, now after that we'll be talking about the xanthoplast. Now xanthoplast, you know very well that xantho means yellow. Okay, so this is basically yellow because of the presence of a very important pigment, that is xanthin, and it is a yellow pigment. Okay, and they are present basically in the ripe fruits, so present in ripe fruits. Okay, so that's very important. After that we'll be talking about the carotenoids. Carotenoids possess carotene, which is basically an orange pigment. Okay, and because of these, carrots are colorful. Okay, so now we'll be talking about other types of chromatoplasts, but it's going to be a very long video, and for that we are ending the classification of chromoplastid here. Okay, now we'll be talking about other plastids. The other plastids are chloroplastids. Why is it called chloro? Because chloro means green, so it has a green pigment which is called the chlorophyll. You know very well about it. After that we'll be talking about the leucoplastid. Okay, now it is a very interesting plastid. Leuco means white, that means absence of color or colorless plastid. It has very important functions within the cells. Let us write here. So leucoplasts can be categorized into three categories. One is amyloplast. Number two is elaioplast. And number three is aleuroplast. Okay, the aleuroplast has also other names, for example proteoplast, which makes it simple for us to understand its function, or you can also call it proteinoplast. Okay, so there are various names. Now you have understood that this classification is mainly based on its function. Amylon means starch. Okay, so this term means starch, so they are basically starch storing leucoplastids. So starch storing leucoplastids, for example potato tuber, or you can say wheat. Okay, now What does it mean by LIO? LIO means fat. So they're basically fat storing leucoplasts. Okay. Now we have the last category, which is eleuroplast or proteoplast, which clearly says that they store proteins. So protein storing leucoplastids are called eleuroplast or proteinoplast. Standard books use these terms. Okay. Now there are various types of chloroplasts. Okay, according to shape. Maybe they are cup shaped, ribbon shaped, maybe they are polygonal or stellate, maybe they are reticulate, okay, or maybe they are plate like. So you will find them in your textbooks because they're very easy to understand. I'm not talking about it right now. So if you have any doubts regarding the types of plastids that have been discussed here, you can write it in the comment section. And if you like the video, please comment, share, like my videos so that I can get motivation to keep the good work going on. Okay, so thank you very much once again. Have a great day.